So we're in this transitionary period now where Bitcoin is really being tested. The theories you're talking about here are being tested. And actually, at a political level, they're being tested. I mean, here in the US, even though we think there isn't sometimes political capital around this, I actually think there is growing political capital around this. We've seen Senator Lummis now, Ted Cruz, Governor Abbott here, Josh Mandel. These are people actively saying we should adopt and support Bitcoin. Josh Mandel specifically saying, if you believe in small government, you should believe in Bitcoin. If you believe in big government, you should be against Bitcoin. So that there's actual political capital pushing us towards these ideas.
Yeah. There's still, a lot of those ideas are still in an existing architecture.
Of course, but that supports the transition.
That's all been politicized and everything else. So we talked about it at dinner last night. How do you get noticed for a long time? Truth matters, even in a world that it feels chaotic. So today, truth is a kind of line that lives on. Like it just keeps going. So everything we're talking about right now, people could argue it, they could politicize it, they could do it, but it's still true. And what you're finding in Bitcoin is more and more people starting to realize that truth, kind of coming out of the fog from their individual silo and realizing here is a through line. And I think about it like, what would it look like if you were Galileo and you looked up through a telescope and you realized, wait, the stars don't rotate around the Earth, it's the other way around. But the prevailing truth at the time was a different truth. And so eventually that truth wins. It takes society a long time to understand. A lot of different people fighting it, deplatforming somebody, right? To be able to, but eventually society starts to come around to say, that's true. And it's just an idea. Fight with the truth, fighting against a previous idea. And so there's an idea that we live in a world that requires inflation to live in a productive society. And nobody's double tapped on that idea. Like, why is that true? We require theft in our time or our monetary base layer to live in a productive society. But a lot of people swallow that hook, line, and sinker because it used to be true on a credit-based system because there was no alternative to, because technology hadn't provided a path to be able to have velocity and decentralization so that needed to be true.
But isn't that it's just an idea as well?
So that idea is now being challenged by Bitcoin, an idea that it doesn't have to. And enough people, so the adoption rate of Bitcoin, which looks like the adoption rate of the internet, which was just another idea, is matching the adoption rate of the internet. Same thing. It's an idea that puts more people, more of us, into control. We gain control. We gain our time back.
The wider externalities that come from this are mind-blowing.
Mind-blowing.
Because there's a show we're trying to work on at the moment is the things that have come out of Bitcoin that probably weren't part of even Satoshi's roadmap. Who knows what Satoshi truly thought, but I believe that Satoshi thought peer-to-peer money, uncensorable, censorship-resistant money with a fixed limit would be good for the world because of central banks. I do not imagine in any scenario he thought about the impact that Bitcoin would have on the energy sector, which has come out of it. We had Troy Crossing yesterday with Nick Carter, and Troy's thesis, whether or not somebody listening believes that burning fossil fuels and increasing the carbon in the atmosphere leads to climate change or not, his theory is one based on he does believe that. And he has a thesis whereby not only can Bitcoin miners stabilize the energy grid, they can also drive a revolution in investment in renewable mining infrastructure. And we were just laughing this morning, just like, wow, if Troy is right, two things can happen at the same time. We can transition the world to a better form of money whilst reducing the impact of climate change.
So
and boosting energy consumption massively.
And boosting and making more energy available. Like there's no way Satoshi thought about that with mining. Mining was just a process of securing the blockchain.
yeah.
But this whole thing's come out of it, and it's not the only thing. There are other amazing concepts, and there's things we don't even know about that are going to come in the future. It's like, oh, crap, Bitcoin's going to fix this.
But that's it. We can't see something until it's before us, right? We're terrible. Some people are better predictors, right? Because they start to imagine what a world could look like and they build to that. The entrepreneurial process is actually that. You go up against a monopoly. You say, I can do this with technology that delivers more value. And the only way you win is if other people agree with you or they use your technology and you deliver more value. And what's predictable is the response by the monopoly. The only change here, the only change to what I just said is that predictable response is coming at the monetary level. But what you just talked about, and I've talked to Troy on this, I totally agree with the kind of that premise. At the higher level, you just have to ask this. Should oil be $130 a barrel right now? Why is it $130 a barrel?
Well, there's multiple factors that come into that, but
Primarily
right now it's $130 a barrel. I would say due to, but multiple things come into my head. I think of sector subsidies, speculation, risk, but mainly probably because people are moving to commodities because of fear over what's going to happen to the dollar. No, you're going to tell me I'm wrong.
It partly all. The biggest thing is abundance in money created scarcity everywhere else. Scarcity in money creates abundance everywhere else. So abundance in money, I print anything I want, means oil prices go up. Scarcity and I can't get enough.
Yeah.
Scarcity in every single thing. I keep creating money, I create scarcity everywhere.
I guess that's the central thesis to your book, right?
Yeah, and because it has to, because all it is a manipulation. We live in a world that's an imagination that somebody can print money. And all of these responses are because somebody gets to print money. And those consequences have to get greater and greater and greater. So when you play that forward, now, and that's actually why I said at the highest level, at the very highest level, you have to, if you believe in climate change or if you don't believe in climate change, it actually doesn't matter. But if there's 95% of the population that believes that climate change is a real thing, and every day they see more either news reinforcing that, ESG narratives reinforcing it, money reinforcing it, and they will believe climate change is a real thing. Is it best to say, no, it isn't, you're stupid? Do you think they'll change their mind, right? Or is it best to say, meet them where they are and ask them this? Is there any way to solve climate change through a system that must drive growth by printing money, not fake growth, forever? So instead of having one job and having time to be able to travel, you need two jobs. You need two cars, because the prices keep going up and you're on a perpetual hamster wheel. Entire society is needing more and more things that are just manipulated to be able to create more and more damage to the climate that is just manipulated. It's impossible to solve, if you believe in climate change, it's impossible to solve climate change from a system that is climate change. That's the biggest level. At the next level is what Troy is talking about. Now you have an incentive system to capture stranded energy everywhere. And you move an incentive and stranded energy, excess energy everywhere, and you move to a Kardashev on a scale, and you increase energy, which is a function of all of us, and you increase energy and you decentralize it at the same time, and it's tied to money. That's what's, so those are, it's actually the only way to solve, if you care in climate, the only way to solve climate is from a new system that does it. It's impossible to solve it from the existing system.